Welcome to Pain in the Grass, the official Lawn Pride podcast, where we dig deep into the real problems hiding in your yard. From weeds to grubs to mystery brown spots, we've got the dirt. Let's grow better together.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something many of you have probably thought about for your lawn, aeration. Is it, actually a game changer? Or is it just another upsell?
Right. It's a common question.
Exactly. You've heard the term, maybe seen the little dirt plugs left behind, but, well, maybe like the listener who has suggested this topic, you've paid for it and then kind of scratched your head wondering, did that really do anything?
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today really is to cut through all that confusion. We're going to unpack what aeration actually is, look at the different ways it's done now, and figure out what makes it work well. Or, honestly, why sometimes it feels like a total bust.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the classic, core aeration. That's the one most folks picture, I think.
Yeah, the plug puller.
Right. We're talking about punching holes in the lawn, basically, yeah. To let air, water, nutrients get down to the roots.
Exactly. Specialized machines pull out these little cylinders, these plugs of soil.
I like the analogy of giving your lawn a deep breath. Or maybe like weightlifting for the roots. Get them stronger.
That's a good way to think about it. And the why behind it is crucial. You see, over time, especially with clay soil or areas where you walk a lot, kids play.
Oh, yeah, the pat the dog runs.
Exactly. That soil gets super compacted, like really dense.
With brick hard sometimes.
Pretty much. And that compaction, it just chokes the life out of the grass. And get this severe compaction can actually reduce water absorption by like up to 80%.
80%, wow. So you're watering, but it's just running off.
Or evaporating before it gets down deep.
Yeah.
Core aeration physically breaks up that barrier.
Okay, 80% loss. That's significant. Now, I've also been hearing more about liquid aeration. It sounds different. Less messy, maybe?
It is different, yeah. It's a newer approach, relatively speaking.
Oh.
Instead of physically pulling out soil plugs,
Right.
you apply a special liquid to the lawn.
So what's in this liquid? Is it just like superwater?
Not quite. It usually contains things called surfactants. They're actually kind of similar to what's in dish soap in terms of how they affect water tension.
Okay.
Plus enzymes, maybe some organic materials, soil conditioners. The surfactants are key because they lower the surface tension of water. This helps it sink into compacted or hydrophobic soil instead of just sitting on top.
Ah, so it makes the water wetter, basically. Gets
Yeah.
it to soak in better.
In a way, yes. And then the other ingredients, the enzymes and conditioners, they work at a microscopic level. They don't dissolve the soil, but they gently loosen the bonds between the tiny soil particles that are packed too tightly.
So it's like creating space, but chemically.
Exactly. It opens things up microscopically, allowing roots better access to oxygen, water, and all those nutrients.
Interesting. So, okay, one pulls plugs, big physical change. The other works tiny, uses chemistry. Got it.
That's the core difference, yeah. Physical removal versus microscopic loosening.
All right, so we have these two methods. Let's talk payoff. What are the actual, tangible benefits when you do aeration right, whether it's core or liquid?
Well, the big shared benefits are pretty fundamental. Both methods loosen compacted soil, obviously. That leads to much better water absorption, getting water to the roots, not just on the surface.
Which probably means less wasted water.
Absolutely. And better fertilizer uptake, too. The nutrients you apply can actually get to the roots and be used. Plus, it encourages the roots to grow deeper and stronger.
Which makes the lawn tougher overall, more resilient to drought and stress.
Precisely. It's about building that foundation.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people think they need more fertilizer.
Yeah.
But the real issue is the nutrients are already there, just locked up by compaction. Aeration helps unlock them.
That's a really good point, making your existing inputs work harder. Now, for core aeration specifically, I know people often do it before overseeding. Why is that combination so popular?
Yeah, that's a fantastic pairing. Those holes left by core aeration, they're like perfect little seed beds.
Little germination pockets?
Exactly. The seed falls in, gets great soil contact, stays moist longer, and it's protected from birds or washing away. It seriously boosts germination rates. Really good for thickening up a lawn.
Okay, that makes total sense. Now, what about liquid? Beyond those shared benefits, what are its unique selling points? Why might someone choose that?
Liquid aeration has some pretty distinct advantages. First off, minimal disruption. No plugs littering the lawn, no cleanup needed. It's generally less stressful for the grass itself.
Okay, less mess.
Definitely. Second, it's super easy to apply. You can often do it yourself with just a simple sprayer. No need to rent or wrestle with a heavy core aerator machine.
Right, those things can be beasts.
They can. And that leads to the third point, really even coverage. You can easily spray right up to edges, into tight corners, around flower beds, trees, pathways, places a big machine just can't reach effectively.
Good point, around obstacles.
Yeah. And finally, there's zero risk of damaging things in the yard. Sprinkler heads, invisible dog fences, shallow landscape lighting wires, hoses you forgot to move.
Yeah.
Liquid won't hurt them.
That's actually a big plus. I've heard horror stories about people hitting sprinkler lines.
It happens. So liquid avoids all that.
Okay, so it sounds super convenient, almost. Easy. Which kind of brings us back to the skepticism. Why do people sometimes pay for this, core or liquid, and then feel like nothing happened, like it was a waste of money?
Yeah. That's the million-dollar con, isn't it? And there are definitely reasons why it can seem ineffective, especially with core aeration if it's not done right.
What are the usual culprits?
Well, number one is probably bad timing. Trying to aerate when your grass type is dormant, like aerating cool season grass in the heat of summer or warm season grass when it's cool. It just doesn't work. The grass isn't growing actively to recover and take advantage of it.
So you need to hit that active growth window. Late spring, early summer for warm season, like Bermuda or Zoysia.
Exactly. And fall or spring for cool season types. Another big one is soil moisture, trying to aerate bone-dry, rock-hard soil. The tines won't penetrate properly. You won't get good, deep cores.
You need it moist, like water it the day before.
Ideally, yeah. Moist, but definitely not soaking wet or muddy. That just makes a mess and can compact things further.
Okay. Timing, moisture, what else?
The lack of follow-through. This is huge. Aeration creates the opportunity for improvement. It opens the door. But if you don't follow up with proper watering afterwards, maybe some fertilizer, and especially overseeding if the lawn is thin, you're missing out on maybe half the benefit.
So aeration isn't the whole job. It's step one.
It's the foundational step. It sets the stage for everything else to work better.
Got it. Okay, that explains a lot for core aeration failures. What about liquid? It sounds easier, less prone to error, maybe. Are there ways it can fall flat?
Oh, definitely. Liquid isn't foolproof either. For one thing, the results are often slower and less visible initially. You don't see the holes, right? So improvements in soil structure happen gradually, which can test people's patience. They might think nothing's happening.
Okay, so managing expectations is key there.
Very much so. Also, while a single DIY application might seem cheap, if you need multiple treatments through the season for best results, the overall cost can sometimes add up to be more than one core aeration surface.
Okay. Potential cost difference over time.
Right. And probably the biggest factor is product quality and, well, using it correctly.
Yeah.
Not all liquid aeration products are created equal. Some are, frankly, just snake oil.
Really?
Yeah. You need one with proven ingredients like good surfactants and active biologicals or conditioners. And if it's a concentrate, mixing it wrong, too weak, or even too strong can make it ineffective or potentially even harm the lawn. It's not just magic water.
So choosing the right product and following the instructions matters a lot.
Critically. And finally, like any liquid spray, it could be a bit weather sensitive. Applying it right before a massive downpour, for instance, could potentially wash some of it away before it has a chance to soak in and work.
Okay, so bottom line, it seems like with either method, just doing aeration isn't a guarantee. It's got to be the right kind at the right time with the right follow-up. Otherwise, yeah, you might just be wasting time and money.
That sums it up perfectly. When done right, it's incredibly beneficial. When done wrong, it can easily feel like a gimmick.
Which brings us, I think, to the core question for everyone listening. Does my lawn actually need this? How do you figure that out?
Great question. Well, for core aeration, you're a prime candidate if you know you have heavy clay soil. That stuff just loves to compact.
Right, the kind that gets hard and cracks when dry.
Exactly. Or if your lawn gets a lot of traffic, kids playing, pets running, backyard parties, that sort of thing, compaction is almost guaranteed there.
Makes sense. Any visible signs to look for?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If you see areas where the grass is thinning out for no obvious reason, or if water tends to pool on the surface after you water or after rain instead of soaking in, or just if the turf generally looks stressed, maybe off color, even though you feel like you're watering and feeding it properly, those are all classic signs that compaction might be the underlying issue.
Okay. So conversely, when might core aeration not be needed?
Well, if you just put down brand new sod, it usually doesn't need it right away. Let it establish first. Or if you have really sandy soil typically doesn't compact nearly as much as clay.
Right, drains too well almost.
Exactly. And, if your lawn is already looking fantastic, lush, green, deep roots, maybe you don't need to fix what isn't broken, at least not with core aeration. Maybe maintenance is enough.
So that's where liquid might come in, as maintenance or for specific situations.
Precisely. Liquid aeration can be a really good fit if, say, you really value that minimal disruption aspect. Maybe you have a very manicured lawn, or like we discussed, intricate landscaping with lots of obstacles, where getting a core machine in would be a nightmare.
Right, the convenience factor.
Yeah. And it's also excellent if your main goal is more about continuous long-term soil health improvement, keeping things loose, improving microbial activity rather than tackling severe existing compaction right now. It shines as an ongoing maintenance tool.
Okay. So it really does sound like you need to look at your specific lawn, your soil, your usage, and your goals. It's not a one-size-fits-all prescription.
Absolutely not. It's about diagnosing the need, understanding the options, and picking the right tool for the job to genuinely, like you said, level up your lawn's health. Not just buying a service because someone says you should.
Okay, so bringing this all together, it feels like aeration, especially that traditional core aeration, is maybe seriously underrated if you haven't seen it done properly or haven't understood its role. It's not magic on its own.
No, it's not a silver bullet, but it is an incredibly effective foundational treatment. Think of it as enabling everything else you do for your lawn to work better. And when you combine either core or consistent liquid aeration with a solid overall program, proper watering, the right fertilizing schedule, maybe overseeding when needed. That's truly when you see the transformation. That's how you get from an okay lawn to one that really makes people stop and look.
That's the goal, right? The head turner lawn.
That's the goal.
All right. And as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you listening. We talked about how giving your lawn this deep breath with aeration can transform its health from the roots up. So maybe think about what foundational changes in your own life, what small, consistent efforts could lead to surprisingly big improvements. Are there any compacted areas in your routines or habits that could use a little aeration to create space for, new growth and vitality? Something to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you for listening to the Pain in the Grass Fodcast, sponsored by Lawn Pride of North Charlotte, Huntersville, your go-to name in turf care for homeowners and businesses seeking beauty, quality, and reliability, powered by family and fueled by passion. Until next time, make sure to take care of that pain in the grass.